Well, we finally made it. Finally made it to the end of this so-called Strangers trilogy. At least I think. But it still begs the question of what the fuck was the point of this?
Lights, camera, action.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the newest chapter in the Strangers franchise, The Strangers Chapter 3. So this movie essentially picks up exactly where Chapter 2 left off, with a bunch of flashbacks cut in and out of the movie to let us, know who the strangers are, to give us more backstory to the strangers, of how they came to be, and all that good stuff, while still our main character is still trying to escape them and just get out of this town. So as I said in my Chapter 2 review, I'm a massive fan of the 2008 one and the Pray at Night one. I think those are a lot of fun, and I really, especially that 2008 one, really great tension throughout that movie. This new trilogy, I was really hoping after the second chapter, I was like, okay, the third one's going to come out. Hopefully, then once I see the big picture of everything will fall into place, and I'll see what they were going for, and I'll be like, cool, this is why this trilogy was justified. This is why we needed a trilogy. I, I still don't get it. I honestly still believe, as I said in the second review, is that this movie, the best thing to come out of this movie is Madeline Petch. I think she's legit the best actor here. She's the one that's given it her all. She's the one that I believe in and all that good stuff. But I really, like I said, I've never seen anything else she's really been in. This is really where my introduction to her was, but I know she was in Riverdale and a bunch of other movies and whatnot, and I haven't seen any of that. But I have this, she seems like she could be a really great scream queen. So I hope, I really hope somewhere down the line we get a better movie or a better trilogy or whatever you want to call it, where she gets a chance to really be in something that she can really chew on and really show us her acting chops and just really be the shining star in that movie. Like I said, she carried essentially this whole uh, trilogy of movies, and I feel so bad for her because she's giving a performance that doesn't deserve to be in these movies at all. So I hope somewhere down the line she gets, like I said, a story or a horror movie or something that really gets her to be able to, that is worthy of her performance. So I fingers crossed. As for everything else in this movie, nothing happens. There is nothing, not a thing happens at all. Now, I can't lie to you. As the movie went on, I said, okay, well, this one might be the most interesting out of the three because it's got to have to tie everything up and kind of bring everything full circle, and we're going to get the point of it all. So I stayed on board going through it because I was like, okay, all right, cool. So what's going to happen? So I was interested in that part. I was like, okay, so it kept me invested because of that. But as the movie goes along, there's nothing here. There is absolutely nothing. Like, yes, you get more backstories of when the killers were kids. You get more stories of what happened in this town, why the town is the way that it is, and who are the strangers, and why they're doing this, and how they're connected to this and whatnot. And you're like, but at the end of the day, you're still like, why? What is the point? What is the overall point of this? And with that being said, like I said, nothing at all happens during all this. It's still our main character trying to get out of this, while intercut with flashbacks, while intercut with Richard Brake and stuff that's going on with him. And now our main character, her sister and husband, is involved. So we're going to cut to that for a little bit and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And you knew at some point, eventually, they were going to come, our hero and our strangers were going to come face to face again. And at some point, yes, she is captured in this movie, and it's almost like they're trying to have this psychological warfare game with her where they're trying to slowly break her and turn her into one of these strangers, which you're kind of like, okay, interesting, I guess, but why? And I thought with what they were going to do with that was going to be this really intriguing thing. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's really cool. I would like to see where they would go with that. That's a pretty cool idea. And I said, if that's what we were leading to, all right, show me what you got with that. Nada. And that goes to the point being is this movie is so slow. Like I walked into this and I watched this after Whistle and I was just like, okay, it just drags. The pacing is just like, dude, let's go. And the way that they decide to wrap it up and end it, I'm kind of like, so was that really the end or what's going on with that? Because I did hear through the grapevine that supposedly they have another idea for another story, and I don't know if it's going to be continuation of these three movies or how this movie ended and all that stuff, which even if it is, I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do with that? I mean, it could go in some interesting places, but I feel like I'm been burned because I've said that before. I said that for this movie, so I feel like I don't see anything coming out of it. And then I also heard that they were gonna do this Tarantino-ish cut where they're gonna put all three movies together and have this big 4-hour epic of the Strangers movies, and I'm just like, is that really going to help anything with this? Is that really going to bring anything to it? Because I don't think so. And honestly, with how all these movies are paced, I feel like you're going to have to recut and reassemble certain things to make stuff fit into place, because if you just spliced all these movies together, I don't think cohesively it's going to work. And at the end of the day, who's going to sit through 4 hours of this? I don't know if I could go back to the theater and sit through a 4-hour cut of this when it's, I know what I'm getting. Even like I said, even if they're all woven together, I still don't think I'm going to come out of this and be like, man, that changed everything. My whole opinion is completely, it's anew now. I have a whole brand new outlook on this. I'm going to repeat really a lot of what I said in this chapter 2 review, because it's essentially the same thing. I don't understand why we needed a trilogy of movies like this. I don't understand what Rennie Harlin saw in this, where he was like, yeah, I can take that and make it into a trilogy and really get something out of it. I feel like there is barely enough here for 2 more movies. I feel like they took something that they could have easily, if they wanted to just remake the first one, they could have taken these other 2 ideas that they had for these chapters 2 and 3 and somehow rewrote it and redrafted it and put it into the chapter 1 script and just had one movie and just put those new ideas that are in these 2 movies and just put it in that one and have a little bit of longer runtime for the first movie and call it a day. You're lucky to maybe get 30 minutes of what you could have got to the point of chapter 2 and 3 in 30 minutes of the first movie. I really hope this wasn't supposed to be some kind of huge reveal, but they do something with the bag-headed killer, the guy killer in this movie. And when he finally takes his mask off, I really, really hope it wasn't supposed to be this big reveal moment. I really hope that's not what they were going for. But based on how this trilogy has been so far, something tells me they were kind of going for that. But dude, as soon as he takes the mask off, you're like, no shit. Like, duh. Now, I don't know if I said this in my Chapter 2 review or not, but I think I heard after Chapter 1 came out, they had a bunch of leaks, and it revealed who all the killers were, and they had to go back and kind of rewrite the story and restructure it and kind of bring new killers into it and whatnot. Now, I don't know how true that is. That's just what I've heard, and I heard, like I said, I heard that sometime after Chapter 1 came out, but it had to be somewhat more, yeah, I'm really hoping that's why they're in the prediction that they're in. I'm really hoping that the original idea they had, the one that got leaked, was a pretty cool idea and they were going to do all this stuff with it, and sadly they couldn't do it. If that's the case, that breaks my heart, because I can't imagine having like a really cool story and then having it all leak and having to try to rewrite it, and then you come to realization that, oh man, this story's not even close to what we originally wrote. So at some point, maybe I'll try to look up to see what the original story was. And not to mention, I know that I've said this in my other reviews as well, but there is some dumbass decisions in this movie, some straight dumbass decisions that I don't understand. There's literally one part of this movie where she's finally getting away and getting out, and you're like, yes, go. Salvation is right there. No, she turns around and comes back. But there's multiple points like that in these movies where you're like, go, what are you doing? Just go. And I understand there's always that argument of, well, if they didn't make stupid decisions, they wouldn't be, the movie would be over in 5 minutes. in this case, the movie justified being over in 5 minutes because they could have done everything they were going to do in 5 minutes. And it's like I said when I reviewed Whistle, that there's a lot of stuff I feel like in here, especially if you're going to kind of dive into the lore and the psychological stuff of The Strangers. I feel like you could have really dug deep and really had something meaningful to say there. But at the end of the day, you're kind of just like, all right, there's still nothing there. And with the whole plot of them almost trying to break our main character and make her, become one of these strangers and have that killer instinct and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, that, like I said, that's a really cool direction you can go. Show me what you got with that. All right. I mean, this movie felt so hollow and bare bones. And like I said, there's just no meat on the bones of the story. Like I said, it's just this girl trying to escape, and they tried to add in all this other stuff on top of it, and it's like nothing sticks. It's like it's like almost somebody had a through line for something for a movie, and then at the very end of it, somebody just came in and just threw all this crap at the board, and it all stuck, and they're like, that's great, we'll put this here, we'll put this here, we'll put that here and here, and they're like, well, won't that take away from the... And they're like, no, it's okay, this will go here, and we'll put this here, and that's that. I don't know, I'll be honest, when this trilogy was first announced, I was like, awesome. I was like, I love the whole idea of The Strangers. I think that's a cool idea. I'd love to see what Rennie Harlin is going to do with the Strangers trilogy. And at the end of the day, I'll stick to my 2008 one and my Pray at Night one. And it's a lot of the same with the second chapter. I felt no tension throughout this movie whatsoever. There was no tension. There was no points that really ratcheted things up for me that I was like, oh yeah, here we go. There was none of that. I was honestly bored watching this movie. I was sitting there, and this movie's only an hour and a half, and I'm just like, this movie is boring. It's very boring. The pacing is very off. And it's like I said, you try to introduce all these other story elements, and they try to intertwine with each other, along with these flashbacks and stuff, and you're like, okay, again, you're just throwing everything in there in the kitchen sink at this point, but still your pacing is awful, and I am bored watching this. And like I said, the way that it ended, am I supposed to get something out of that ending? Am I supposed to feel a particular way? Is it supposed to end in this cliffhanger type way that wants me to have more or wants me wanting more? And... no, I don't. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. At the end of the day, this whole thing, like I've said many times throughout this review, was just pointless. It is absolutely pointless. I just would like to know what the overall point of this trilogy was. Why did we need 3 movies out of this? Possibly 4. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, Mike, if you hated the first 2, why did you go back to watch this one? Because I'm a dumbass. I'm a whore. I have to go back and see. I have to finish what I started. I started with this. I was like, I got to see it through to the end. And I was genuinely curious and very optimistic for the 3rd chapter. I was like, this one has to have all of that stuff that was missing out of the first 2. And no, it didn't. So at the end of the day, I can't recommend going to see this. I'm sorry. I would wait until... streaming. I would wait until it comes out, DVD, Blu-ray, all that good stuff. But, I can't justify going to the theater to see it unless you were just genuinely curious. You really, like I was, you just had that same feeling where you're like, I have to know how this ends. Then, by all means, but just know who you are, and maybe if you take somebody like, a girlfriend, boyfriend, or a friend or something like that, you can have more of a fun time with it, trying to figure out what's going to happen. I mean, pretty much the writing's on the wall from the beginning. And, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just one of those movies that I don't understand the point of it. I don't know why we're here. I don't know why Rennie Harlin chose to do this. I don't know why he was like, hey, I can easily make this 3 movies. That might not have been his decision at all, but I don't know why he was like, yeah, I'll stay on for all 3 movies. I don't get it. Maybe something will come out in the future that kind of he explains why or whatnot, or what his original intent for this entire trilogy was. I would be curious, very curious to see what that was. And if they decide to make a 4th one, I honest to God don't know where you're going to go. I mean, yeah, they set something up at the end of this one, but what are you going to do with that? Based on how these movies where are you going to go? What are you going to do with that? So I'm not holding my breath. If you were very curious to how this trilogy was going to wrap up like I was, wait until it comes home. Unless you just absolutely cannot wait, then by all means run out and see it, but I don't recommend doing that. I would recommend something better that's out there, like maybe go see The Bone Temple if it's still playing anywhere near you, because that movie did awful at the box office, and that movie is genuinely really, really good. I don't know if it's still playing anywhere, but seek that one out instead. Or the new Jason Statham movie Shelter. It was a really fun movie, and if you love Jason Statham and all his movies and his ass-kicking action and what his movies are known for now, go see that. It's a lot more entertaining and just a better time overall. Thank you, everybody. That's my review for The Strangers Chapter 3. Maybe we'll be back for a Chapter 4. Please, God, no. But maybe we'll be back for that, so we'll see what happens. If this is the review that you're finding me on, please come over and check out all my other stuff so far. I have a ton of reviews for 2025, and I'm building up a pretty good slot for 2026. If you have seen the Strangers trilogy, any of the Strangers movies, what was your favorite of all the Strangers movies? And if you have seen the epic conclusion that is Chapter 3, what did you think about it? What was your thoughts on this trilogy overall? Because I am very, very curious what other people thought about it. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That way I can see all of you in the next one with hopefully some better movies. Thank you so much.